hop-along Cassidy pocket knife, a Mammy coin bank, and this is a rare piece of furniture that my wife found at an auction that's probably made for an efficiency apartment. It all folds out. It's like a little dinette set.
Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And what did the appraiser tell you about your stuff?
Oh, $75, maybe over $100, several $1,000s.
Wow. And how cool was it to find that out?
Very, very impressed. So will my son be, because my wife bequeathed it before she died to him, and he's in the process of totally renovating it. The gentleman, the appraiser, said, once you get that totally renovated, it'll be worth $17.6 trillion. I might have exaggerated a little bit on that.
So, I guess, what did your wife tell you when she found that at the auction? Was she excited?
She went to the auction by herself, and she was nuts about doing that. She passed on 25 years ago. And she had a guy bring it home, and I'm like, what is this? What did you buy? Well, she only gave $30 for it. She was the only person to bid on it.
And tell us what you have there.
Well, this is a sculpture that was my uncle's. It's made of horseshoe nails. He called it Birds in Flight, but there's no maker on it, no artist.
Good morning, everyone.
He bought it in the 60s in Chicago. I don't know what he paid for it. But when he passed away, nobody in the family liked it but me, so I got it. I was 15, and I've loved it ever since.
And what did the appraiser think of your
$500 to $800. Not bad.
And how neat was it to hear that something in your family was appreciated like that?
Yeah. My mom would be surprised. But we had a great time. She was a real help, and we'll never know who did it. That's the sad part. But I'll keep looking. It's called Brutalist Art, which was a trend in the mid-60s. So I'll just keep looking for Brutalist art made of horseshoe nails.
And what are you going to do with it when you get home?
Hang it back on the wall.
What do you bring here today?
We bought a pair of, we bought 4 of 15 two-plex, they're called. They're art from Greenland.
And what did the appraiser tell you about it? Did he?
She found them the most unusual things that she had seen in a while. They were carved probably in about the 1930s, and they are sperm whale teeth. And they were originally used as kind of a hex. In the beginning, they were used if somebody had done you wrong. You'd get the medicine man to carve one of these and put them on their property as a hex.
And how did you guys come about it?
Well, I met this woman whose brother was a merchant marine in World War II, and he was doing the North Atlantic trip. And I guess during that trip, this is where the U-boats were. During the trip, they pulled into some area of Greenland, and he picked them up and brought them home and gave them to his sister. And his sister was moving and said, "Gee, I know you're an antique collector. Would you be interested in these?" And I said, "Yeah, they're great. What are they?" And she said, "I think they're scrimshaw." Well, I looked at them and said, "They're not," but we bought them. They were great.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money then, but well worth it.
Yeah.
They're fascinating.
And what did you bring today?
Okay, we bought some train whistles. This one and that one. Blow it. And that's a train whistle. We bought this one out of a catalog the
auction catalog.
auction catalog.
Okay.
And it was $300, and it's $3,000.
And I thought I was getting one like this, and this is what I got instead.
Hi,
And you were
we
telling me
represent
riverboat
Midwest
whistle.
Historical
It's a riverboat whistle.
Geological Society.
Probably from
And
St. Louis.
We are a society
It was from
dedicated
St. Louis.
to helping
How
people
surprised were you
through
when
their
you found out it was a
genealogical
riverboat
or
whistle?
historical research.
Well, it kind of
We
mixed
have a
feelings.
library of our own
I was
that
expecting
has
this,
over
and
20,000 volumes.
but
We
this
have
is worth
many
a lot more.
resources that will
I
surprise
think
most
that's
people.
probably more rare
For
than a train
instance, we
whistle.
have all
Yes, it
Assembly
is.
counties married.
What did you bring today?
I brought my great-grandmother's Wonderland. The family story is that she got it at the World's Fair and possibly in the 40s.
Wow.
And I wish the booklet had dates or a manufacturer, but it doesn't.
Do you have like fond memories as a kid seeing? I'm sure when you were a kid.
Yes, that was always at Christmas time. This makes me think of Christmas. Grandma would light it up and let it spin around and we could see it go.
And you're waiting in line to see the appraiser.
Waiting in line, hoping to hear some information about it, yes.
Are you excited to see what they have to say?
I'm very excited. I've wanted to know about it for years.
And it's cool you still have the literature on it.
I do. It has how to put it together.
And I imagine, regardless of what you hear, it's family heirloom. Are you going to keep it in the family?
Right, for our family it is definitely priceless.
What did you bring here today?
I brought in my Star Trek and other characters autographs.
Done some research
And
on it.
how did you come about that?
I drew them and I took them to different conventions, and people would find enough to sign, their families.
That's really cool. And what did the appraiser tell you?
Yes, and it's very, very heavy.
I should insure it for $10,000.
Wow. Were you surprised by that?
What?
Were you surprised by that?
So we bought it for $5.
I had no idea. I just brought it. I love doing this, and I met a lot of nice people.
Became so
Wow.
Thank you guys.
That's my
It's heavy.
husband.
I was holding it. All right, thank you so much. Congrats.
Okay. Peter Mayhew,
Wow.
and then this is so if you
BJ, are
can,
you here in this room? BJ Stuart.
Jimmy Doohan. What's his name?
Sean Austin.
Sean Hodgson,
Brian Spear, can you help us? I can't find my TV.
Leonard
Oh, there's
Nimoy,
BJ. BJ's got Brian, thank you.
George Takei, Adrian Paul from Highlander, and this is Stephen Williams with the Witch from Kansas, and this is
Right.
Dean
Tell me your
McCain.
name. Faith Tucker. Faith, I had a college roommate named Faith. And her mom's name is Hope.
He worked as Chewie in some
No
films.
charity. That's what I said. Okay, Faith, tell us about this. Here you go.
Alrighty, so this is an antique
Just a
cradle.
second. Edward James Almost.
Goes out in the field. So what we've been able to research
Billy
is that
D.
it is for
Williams.
itinerant farmers to take their children out. My mom, she
Gilbert
bought it for slaves.
English
That's what I
actor.
thought.
This is too nice for a slave cradle. But we believe it was made in the
Bill
1800s.
Shatner.
And
this is
my mom bought
Mr.
it
Shatner's
from
dog.
here in Newburgh in the
There's
70s.
Golf
And
Light.
my brother and I were in it, and now we're in it. And my granddaughter was.
Then
You're
this
using
I just like the
Oh, wow, that's
picture on
fantastic. Do you know what the original purchase price was?
another character.
My mom bought it for $200.
This character is from
So, have you got it appraised yet?
and
All
he
right, so
doesn't
we'll
like
find out about
art.
this today. All right, Faith, you can come back.
I brought a tea set. My father was in the military during World War II. Another uncle was in the Navy off the coast of the Philippines, and my father was stationed in the Philippines. And the youngest uncle was in the Merchant
Oh, I'm
Marines.
sorry.
So he brought this back from Japan. He actually carried it on his back, and he brought it home for his mother, but his mother didn't want it. None of his sisters wanted it. So my mother, who was married to his oldest brother, wanted it. So that's how I ended up with it. And it is high quality china, very well made, and it is hand painted with 24 karat gold, hand painted. And I believe he bought it in a retail store. And if anybody would want it, it's probably worth $100. But it's more sentimental value.
And what did you bring today?
Today I brought our collection of Marvin paintings. So it started with this one down here that I bought 20 years ago in an antique store downtown Wichita, and thought that was it. Then out of the blue, my husband surprised me one Christmas with another one, which blew our minds. We had no idea there was another Marvin out there, which started this obsession with collecting Marvins. And we've now got Marvin from the very beginning, where he's actually really bad, to where he obviously got a lot better. Marvin's considered a mystery on the internet. Nobody exactly knows who he is. Some of his frames are marked Dallas, Texas. But most interestingly for us, we got a new one just recently. This one came in yesterday from Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's the only one that has anything written on the back, and it says Serial 502 Nightlight. We don't know if that means this is the 502nd one that he's done, or what. There might be a lot more out there than what we knew. But the other thing that's really interesting about the Marvins is there's a great debate online, not only who he is, but is this Paris or is this Buenos Aires? Because of the way the women are depicted in their long skirts and white blouses. But either way, we've had an awful lot of fun with him, and we have our collection all in one place in our home.
And what did the appraisers say about it?
We haven't been there yet. They said to come on over first and get this out of the way, then I'll come back and tell you how much they're worth.
Are you excited to find out?
Anything that anybody can tell me about Marvin will make me happy, and then I can go tell the whole internet world that's waiting to know who Marvin is.
He does good work.
Some of it's really bad, and a lot of it but he got better over time. That's for sure. Yeah, so it's fun. Fun thing to do.
So I guess you're just going to keep on collecting Marvin.
Yeah, so there are, the price of Marvins have gone up over the years. I sometimes think that's because we're collecting them that we're driving the price in a market that never really doesn't exist except for us. But yeah, so right now my biggest desire for the Marvin collection is there's one up in Milwaukee that the owner is older and doesn't know how to ship. Well, if I'll come up there and get it, she'll sell it to me. But it would be bigger than this one. So it would be the biggest one I've ever seen. Most of them are this size.
Sure, well, what did you bring today?
I brought a Army surplus train. My parents got it for me. I think I was about 2 or 3 years old, which makes it only like 80 years old. So.
And what did the appraiser tell you about the train?
The appraiser told me that he has never seen one in this good a condition, and that he would be willing to give me at least $1,000 for it.
How excited were you to hear that?
Pardon?
How excited were you to hear
Well, I was tickled to death, you know. I think the folks paid about $12 or $15 for it, so.
And I'm sure you have memories when you were a child playing with that.
Played with it for years. In fact, 2 years ago, I had it back. I had it up to show two of my great-grandsons that are in their 20s, the train, and they were kind of, geez, never seen one like that, because most people haven't seen this model of train, and so it's got several cars with it.
I brought a cameo brooch, and it converts to a necklace, and I was totally surprised. It's not a shell. It's ivory mounted on coral, and it's framed in silver, and then a rope of 2 gold twisted wires, so it was all handmade.
All right. Awesome. Tell me
What
about
did
your
the
car.
appraiser tell you about it?
Not to drop it, it's very fragile, and that it's worth $2,500. I was shocked.
All right, 100 degrees out there. Thank you for bringing your car.
This is a carry-all from the 20s. It's kind of a combination of a compact and an evening bag, and it has a place inside for powder rouge and your lipstick, and on this opens, and if you were a smoker, you carried your cigarettes here and your matches here.
And what they tell you about that?
He said he didn't know for sure, that maybe I would have better luck just looking online and seeing. The ones that I have seen, this is made by the Elgin Watch Company, and so it's probably worth a little more than the ones I've seen online, but they run as high as $500.
And then what did you bring today?
I brought a necklace, and it is jade and probably from China, and it's worth $1,500.
Were you surprised by that?
Yes.
And how did you come about that? Is it a family heirloom?
My brother took a trip to mainland China probably 50 years ago, and he brought this back for my mom.
And how did you come about your items?
This I picked up at an estate sale, and it's worth way more than I paid for it. And this was a birthday gift from my husband.
This is a saddle of Harry Shepler's, and I bought it years and years ago, probably 20 years ago, and I've always kept it in with all my other saddles at home, and it's a very nice saddle, well made, and he actually made it. That's what he used to be on Main Street in the teens and 20s, and then he had that Shepler store.
You're keeping in the family, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. She'll be a little. She likes horses. She's got a pony, so someday we'll just keep it up.
I brought my grandfather's gold pocket watch, and it was probably over 100 years old. It's an Elgin, and it still works properly. And he said it's rather rare that they run this old, and it just clicks right along. And he valued it at $750. It has a engraved of a farm scene on the back of the house, barn, windmill, and the field.
And do you remember seeing it when you were a little kid?
No, my grandfather died when I was about 12 years old, so I didn't get to see it at that time. But it came from an estate. My dad had one like this, and my sister has it, and I have this one. So.
And how excited were you that it came back with a decent price on it?
Did what?
How excited were you that the appraiser gave you good info?
I was really surprised, but I wasn't surprised that I knew it still worked, which he said is very rare.
I brought in a Davenport Desk. It originally belonged to my great-grandfather and has been handed down in the family. My great-grandfather was mayor of Wichita in 1927, 1928. A.J. Coombs was his name. And it's just been handed down. We don't really know anything beyond his ownership.
Have you made it to the appraiser yet?
I did, finally.
What did the appraiser say?
He said it could be as early as like 1860, late 1800s or early 1900s. And he also said that today the appraised value is anywhere from $800 to $1,000, maybe $1,200.
But I'm sure for you, it's more sentimental than it's been in your family's.
Right, it's very sentimental. We're not going to sell.
What a neat story. You know,
Yes. Yes. So, and he said it'd be worth a little more if we could dig up some provenance on it for my grandfather having it when he was mayor.
And then, I guess, does it have a place in your house that you like?
Well, right now it's at my mom's. She has a special place for it by the front door. But someday I'll inherit it.
This desk has a special feature you're telling me about. It's got a hidden compartment.
That's right. Yeah. If you open up the front of this desk, this bottom left pin pulls all the way out. And when you pull that pin out, this drawer then slides out. But when the pin's in, it just looks like a fake drawer, like the fake drawers on this side.
I have a vase that was given to my husband's grandmother from her aunt. Her aunt lived from 1877 to 1949, and so we just wondered what it was worth. It's not valuable. It's worth about $75. It's an embellished vase from Japan, and it was usually given to tourists. So that's what we know about it, but it means a lot to us. It's been in my family for a lot of years, so it's a family heirloom. So thank you. So we decided to come here just to find out what it was worth, to see if there was any value to it. So it's more family value now. And the pictures that I actually have a picture of her. This is her grandma called her Aunt Lucy, and she lived in California. She was raised in California in this big home, so they were very wealthy, and they traveled. But that's really all we know about that. So.
We have the Native American Indian shawl that the women wear when they're dancing. It was given to me 67 years ago, and the lady that gave it to me was in her 70s, so who knows? And we stumped them.
Denise didn't know the value of it. She has to get back with us.
So
I think it's kind of interesting if they don't necessarily know, because I think it makes it more rare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare. And she was impressed with the beading on it.
And gonna stay in the family, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
So I originally was going to bring in this brooch. I've had it for many years, and I've never had it appraised or looked at. And but when I pulled it out of the bag, it was kind of caught on this ring, and the jeweler, his eyes kind of lit up, and immediately he went to the ring and starts to tell me that this is Ethiopian Opals. It's over 100 years old. It's handcrafted. Not a bit of it is poured or cast. And it's got rubies set in the side, white gold, and that it's worth over $2,000. Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was just plain silver. Yes, yes. And the brooch that I actually had him look at was antique, probably 1940s, and he has no idea where it's from. I'd have to have it looked at again, but he's guessing around $1,000 for the brooch. So $3,000.
Pretty good day.
Yes, it was.
And did you tell me how you came about that?
So it's a story and a half. My ex-husband and I, we bought a house as is, and it was owned by an opera singer that traveled the world. These items were obviously picked up elsewhere, and but she was also in the end a hoarder. So when we purchased the house with all the contents in it, and while we were going through things, I found this jewelry. So yeah, happy accident, happy coincidence.
This is an antique Chinese chest.
And what did you find out about it?
That they don't know much and never seen anything like it. So we got it in Korea. My wife's folks did when we were all living there, and so that was before we were married. So I grew up looking at this and the matching one in their house until 5 years ago when my mother-in-law passed away, and she left one to my wife and one to her sister, and they're a matching pair. And other than that, the appraiser hadn't seen anything like it, and she couldn't find anything like it online, so she couldn't tell us a lot about it. She just said from the architecture on the buildings that the curve of the roof is Chinese, you know. And about half of the antiques we bought when we were in Korea are Chinese, you know. So I'm guessing if I was to guess, I'd say 350 years old, Chinese.
And you brought to us today a Marx battery-operated tiger. And if you look at him, he was built in the 60s. This is one of their latter models. They were made for about 2 years, and this would be probably 66 and 67. Louis Marx went out of business at the end of the 60s, and it was bought by Quaker Oats, believe it or not.
Okay.
So it became a Quaker Oats company. Quaker Oats found out one thing: they don't make good toys. So they got out of the business. But this is an excellent, excellent tiger. He's battery operated. As you can see, when you run him, he'll go on his feet. Now the cord has been disconnected, easily be fixed.
Okay.
And you look on his stomach, right there, it's got the Marx logo, and right here, it has the Marx logo. And these are little stickers, and they come off very easily. So this piece is an excellent chip. It's a really good piece. Now the battery case, if you look inside, there's no rust. There's no corrosion.
Right.
So this piece has not been played with a lot. And it's easy to rewire, it won't be hard or anything. And the nice thing about it is it has all of its whiskers. Its head will move as it walks. The head will go back and forth, so it wobbles. This piece, what did you pay for it real quick?
I believe $50.
$50. Well, you got a good deal. If I had this in my toy store, I would sell it for $175.
Woo!
It's a very good piece. And if this is for your husband, he's a very lucky man.
Yes, it is. It's his childhood toy, so.
Well, I can see why he'd want it again.
Yes. Cool. Yes. Wow.
And if he doesn't want it, I'll take it home.
Okay.
So essentially what happens, ultimately we find that our patients are coming to us.
Oh, talk about some of the things?
Crisis,
Okay. Well, some of the things I've seen today are amazing. I saw a pre-World War II Marx train set that was the military set that I've been wanting all my life, and I've never been able to get one. And it came in, and if you rated it 10 being mint, this would be an 8.5, which is almost like new.
Oh, wow.
And this toy is from 1940, 41. All the parts were there, and I appraised it for a little over $1,100. A wonderful piece. I also ran into a doll set. There were five. They were all 5 babies, and they had the original bed, original dolls, and they were 1937, and I almost trembled. The dolls were like new, and the set itself is probably worth around $6,000 to $7,000.
Oh, wow.
And I told her I would insure it for at least 10, because they'll never find it. Every doll was in excellent condition, with no crack, no damage. Their clothes were just like new. To have something that old is amazing. And it was a Madame Alexander before it was Madame Alexander.
Ah, that's so cool.
So those were two of the most exciting things of the day.
Yeah.
I shook it both of them.
I brought volumes 1 and 2 of John Stuart Mill's Principles of Economics, copyright 1899.
And how did you come about these items?
Well, I am an economist, and I was living in Rhinebeck, New York in 1977, and they had an old bookstore upstairs from a drugstore, I think, and I wandered through and saw them and thought, well, I have to have these. And so John Stuart Mill's a very famous economist who pioneered utilitarianism. He was also an early feminist and opposed to slavery.
And you waited in a line for a while.
Yes.
Are you excited to see, find out some more info about these?
Oh, I definitely, yes, very much so.
This is a cross that I found in my grandmother's basement. She's been gone for over 30 years, and when she passed, she was 85, 86 years old. And so this had been down in her basement, and I was down roaming around, and it was under a bunch of rubble and boxes, and I saw it sticking out at the end, and I pulled it out, and it's this beautiful cross. And I know she's had it for years, and then she's already been gone for over 30 years, so I know it's got to be. My mom is 92. And so I know it has to be probably 200 years old or more.
Yeah. Did your mom remember seeing it ever when she was a kid?
She did when she was a kid. It was hung in my grandma's house. So yes, yes.
And you've been waiting in line today. Are you excited to get to
I am so excited. I have always wanted to find out about this, but I've never had an opportunity to come to the PBS show. So, you know, when I saw this show coming, I just jumped on it.
And I'm sure it's priceless to you.
It is. It is. It's going to always be in the family. No matter how much I find that it's worth, it's going to always be in my family.
Well, I brought a lamp that was in my husband's family.
And I guess, do you remember when you were in your family's house, or?
Well, it came from my mother-in-law, and I'm not sure exactly where she got the lamp, but it's been in his family for years.
And are you excited to find out about it?
I am.
Are you enjoying yourself at the?
Yes, very much. Everything here is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen some other interesting stuff. I'm guessing this is going to stay in the family heirloom.
Well, it depends on what I find out today. So,